with the plastic and cosmetic surgery, the opportunities to drive leads using Google's LSA strategy. It really boils down to some of the core, the pillars for what we're doing in other aspects of growing businesses and growing practices, and really do that through the grow method. So Google LSAs are really a component of an overall marketing plan. It really fall within that bucket of generating leads, whether you're setting up for organic search engine optimization, running paid ads, which would be under the LSA bracket, or LSAs would actually be under the paid ad bracket, database reactivation being the opportunity to generate leads, chat widgets on your website, the refining conversion. As we go through the presentation today, you'll see how it all ties together. LSAs are an opportunity to generate those new leads, but the next step of that process in welcoming new patients in is really refining the conversion piece, right? Reviews, having a good website that's optimized to convert, landing pages, web scheduling. And then the optimization piece for what's really important is the next step, which is getting patients to schedule and show up at the practice, doing that through tools of automation, speed to lead being really important. And as you'll see from the Google LSA tool, that speed to lead really is critical. And I think we all see with patients today how important that is. And also making sure that everything is being done, tracked and measured, and setting up to win with measurable results, understanding ad spend, return on investment, and really the growth opportunities that are provided. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look now at some of the components and the pieces that make up the Google LSA environment. I'll just ask you, I appreciate you being here for the next 55, 60 minutes, is just to kind of tune in, plug in, ask questions when you have them, kind of turn off any social media distractions. We're going to be here for about another 45, 50 minutes, and we're going to cover quite a little bit on the call today as well. So what we're going to cover is we're going to understand and really just go over what Google LSAs, local service ads, are. They're called Google Verified. There's a number of different acronyms for them, but they're there. They're active in the marketplace. We're going to, show you how to take advantage of the opportunity, show you how it works. We're going to, if you're not on board already, show you exactly how you can get on board with Google local service ads. We're going to show you what it takes to rank as well, to make sure that with the tools that you're using, making sure that you're maximizing them from the visibility and from generating results. And we're also going to really just go through and talk about how to do that, how to take advantage of LSAs in order to generate really efficient leads, cost per leads, high quality, and how to take advantage and win with the system. Okay. So before we get much further into that, seeing some familiar faces here. We've got some new faces that are joining us as well. Welcome. Who am I and why should you listen? Well, if some of you don't already know me, this is Brett McHugh. I'm the CEO, founder of Clinic Grower. And so we specialize in growth marketing for aesthetic and medical practices. And we've also authored the book. I'm the co-author of Seductive Digital Marketing and Sales for Aesthetic Practices. I'm actually going to give everybody a copy at the end of the call here. If you stay through, send you on a free copy. And at the end of the day, we've actually worked with over 300 practices to this point. Our mission is to serve over 1,000 ambitious medical and aesthetic practices. We're on our march, on our mission, and we do it by connecting with practices like you. Really at the heart of it, it's about serving practices. As I said, I've been blessed to serve hundreds of medical and aesthetic practices across the country. And our mission essentially boils down to developing what I call win-win relationships, delivering content, delivering value like this. We want to put this into the marketplace so that the tools and strategies that you learn on webinars like this, for example, you can go ahead and use them to grow your business and really think of Clinic Grower favorably when it comes to growing a practice and Clinic Grower to make them synonymous. Okay. So stay till the end. We're going to send you, Julian's going to provide a link at the end of the webinar here. We're going to give you a link where you can download and grab a free copy of our book. We're also going to mail you a copy of that as well. And we're going to get started here in just a minute. Before we do, if I can just get a 7 in the chat, let me know that you guys are ready to rock and roll. If you have your audio on, let's ask you to turn it off. If there's any background noise. Let me see a 7 in the chat if you guys are ready to rock and roll and get started. Misty, thank you, Damien. All right, cool. Let's get rocking and rolling, guys. So what are Google LSAs? Well, Google local service ads, they are the opportunity to essentially appear on top of Google, a new opportunity. They're, as you'll see from the graphic that we have here, they're positioned where when patients are searching for terms like cosmetic surgeon, plastic surgeon near me. Google is looking to monetize that and to create the best user experience. So they've created an opportunity to essentially elevate and run ads, and it's changing the landscape for how people are actually interacting and consuming on Google. You can see here that it starts to change the landscape, to change the environment, and actually push some of the other positions on Google, those search rankings down the page. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to rank there. It's almost like having that billboard on top of Google in an exclusive place. And these are practices. These are plastic surgeons, in this example, cosmetic surgeons that have been verified by Google. Okay. And so before we kind of get into the, how to rank, just want to touch a little bit on, where did LSAs come from? And you may have already seen examples of plastic surgeons locally as you've searched, but more commonly is when people are looking for stuff like an electrician, a plumber. Google rolled it out in the home services industry back in 2015. And as I said at the beginning of the webinar, they've continued to roll out Google LSAs, those local service ads, in more frequency across different medical and aesthetic verticals. So make sure that you're staying in the loop, that you're staying up to date as Google does those new releases. They recently rolled out for vein removal, for example. There's different opportunities for dermatology. We're going to focus today on plastic and cosmetic surgery, but it all started within the home vertical industry. And really, why this matters to us, why we're on the call today, is because almost 90%, 80% of patients, 80% of consumers are searching Google when they're looking for that provider, when they're looking for that doctor, when they're looking for that expert. So we want to make sure that we're there, we're in the right place when patients are searching. Nearly 90% use online reviews to access healthcare providers. And it really is Google is the number one place when people in general are looking for information, when they're going to Google it. So we want to make sure that we're in the right place. We're showing up. We have that visibility with patients. And now, as we've seen here, local service ads, they're appearing first in those search results. There's right now, from an advertising standpoint, there's really no higher intent prospect than the consumer, than the customer who is proactively looking for your practice at that moment in time. And Google is providing that opportunity right now, and we're going to show you how to take advantage of that. So when it comes to the LSAs, those paid local service ads, and gaining top placements, this is essentially how Google have been rearranging the landscape. And so local service ads, this newer opportunity, they're being ranked and appearing right there underneath that search bar. Okay, as you'll see, and as I said, if you do a local search for whether it's plastic surgeon or plumber near me, you'll start to see those. The Google search ads have then been pushed further down, and the Google map results have also been pushed slightly further down the page as well. Now, does that mean that we should stop doing organic marketing? We should stop marketing our Google business profile? Definitely not. You absolutely don't want to do that. But what it is happening is that when Google is serving these local service ads, it's giving an opportunity to people that are close by in that proximity to engage with the practice. And we still want to make sure we have a healthy mix of covering real estate within those top searches, but just know that those local service ads are a major opportunity for most of the folks that I see on the call here today. And we're going to show you how to take advantage of that. Where is it active? Well, it's active all across the US. Google has rolled it out in specific markets and focusing more on those metros, those highly populated areas, but it is rolling it out and has been rolling it out now across the US. And so it's probably active in your market. You want to make sure that you do those searches, that you're up to speed with where it's active, where it's being rolled out, so that you can make sure you're taking advantage of the LSA real estate. The evolving landscape, in our book, I actually covered this recently about the evolving landscape online, and with PPC ads, they were occupying, and we'll have new data next year, about 15%, about 14% of clicks. And so with the local map pack, which is still really the main driver, as we're seeing from a data standpoint, for those local leads that are in the area, they're looking for a place close to them, about 34%, 35%, and growing since the last data point. They're responsible for that amount of lead generation. Organic search continues to be big, but the local search in that area, and Google LSAs are kind of a paid extension of that, with an expert authority and Google's seal of approval. And so it will impact results. And as we gather more data, we'll be able to see just how those percentages change essentially in the universe and how patients and how people are searching. Now, with Google local service ads, kind of how they work is, number one, there's an eligibility process. There's a process where you've got to apply, and Google vets the advertisers in order to make sure that the views and the consumers that it delivers the ads to are really receiving the best. And so with the eligibility process, it's a matter of completing the application, Google local service ad application. Google's going to run a background check and a license check, and the owners must complete that background check. Does every provider at a practice, if there's multiple providers, have to complete the background check? We're not seeing that that's the case. If multiple providers want to be listed within the Google local service ads, then yes. But from the practice standpoint, we haven't seen that to be an obstacle. The other components are that once approved, there's a timeline in place. And so if approved, you're going to essentially have about between 1 to 4 weeks from the application through approval. And then the benefit is that once you're active in your area, you only pay on a per lead basis. We're seeing and expecting between about $75 to $200 per lead. It's going to vary from market to market. It's really going to vary depending on what market conditions are like, what the competition is like. And for plastic surgeons, expecting that $75 to $200 cost per lead is going to be an appropriate range of expectation. As I said, the prices are really going to vary by city and by niche specialty. Let's just see, have we got any questions at all so far? Just want to check in on the chat. No, we're good. Okay, so we're going to keep moving then. So when it comes to Google local service ads and how they work, understanding how they're appearing, how you get ranked, and also how you get charged for these LSAs. And so in order to set up the local service ads, which we're going to go through in more detail here, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. You set a weekly budget that essentially limits the number of leads that you receive. It's based off as a supply and demand, a lead generation standpoint. And so you set a weekly budget, and then in any given week, depending on the number of leads that are generated, your budget will run out. And so in the example of a $4,000 per month budget, $1,000 a week, if that cost per lead is about $100, then that's going to generate about 40 leads per month or 10 leads per week. Okay. And once the weekly budget is spent, the ads do not show. We're going to talk about criteria, when to show ads and what those strategies look like, but just know that that's how it works. Is once the budget is spent, once the leads have been generated, then the ads are going to stop showing. Okay. And so you may get a different number of leads from day to day. Similar like most lead generation platforms, depending on the budget and what the cost per leads are, but you're never going to spend more than your allocated weekly budget. And so I'm not going to go through this line for line, but at the essence of this is you're only paying for quality leads. We have the ability, and through Google LSAs, you have the ability to essentially dispute leads if a lead is invalid. And in any given market, there's going to be solicitation, there's going to be calls that come through that just aren't valid, but making sure that you've got people that are reviewing the calls. We're going to go through the process of how to dispute, how to verify, and do those different things. But that's one of the major benefits here as well, is that Google is looking to really get feedback from the marketplace insofar as when patients are scheduling with the plastic surgeon, the team is able to know if that appointment was booked, if they showed up. And then there's a feedback mechanism in order for Google to deliver the best quality ads and deliver the best quality connections with patients and practices. Okay. So there's a number of reasons why this just makes sense. And right now as well, from a cost effectiveness, there's a major opportunity. But because there's the ability to show up top of the search results where patients are looking, that's a no-brainer for a lot of practices. We'll share examples and show you what that looks like. You only pay on a cost per lead basis. So there's a combination of the cost per lead paying for the results there, but also on the quality standpoint, it's high quality leads. And we're seeing that it's a lower cost per lead than even most traditional PPC ads right now. So the ability to modify the budgets based off your schedule, that's really key so that you can essentially craft campaigns and set up an ecosystem and an environment that works well within your budgets and your requirements. Okay. So what we're going to do next, we're going to take a look at how to get set up and how to get the LSAs and the environment set up. Okay. So there's a number of different ways. Number one, if you work with us, we'll support you. Just reach out to us. We're happy to get it set up for you. And number two, there's a couple of options. So in order to get set up, you can simply go to ads.google.com, local services, sign up, or if you Google sign up for LSAs, I'm sure you'll get there pretty quick. Alternatively, you can reach out to us. If you reach out to us, we'll do the eligibility check for you. We'll do a market assessment. We'll walk you through everything. And if you go to clinicgrower.com/LSA, there's going to be more information on that there as well. Okay. Let's talk about how to get results, how to start ranking, how to start showing up within the LSAs, and how does all that work. Okay. So the way that it works is that depending on your proximity, searching for that plastic surgeon near to where you are, it's going to show those geographically relevant results to patients. Okay. So the proximity is important. I'll share with you how you set up your service area so that you can, maximize the maximum geography for where you're located, but just being close to obviously where people are searching is important. Really importantly as well, and anybody on the call here has certainly heard myself or Brad talk a lot about this, is having a good review score, making sure that you've got as close to 4.9 or a 5.0 when it comes to Google reviews. That's a signal for Google that you're a trusted authority. So your review score and also the number of reviews that you receive as well. So make sure that you're growing those reviews, that you're getting that positive feedback. Also the responsiveness to inquiries from patients, from clients that are asking for reviews or that have been submitting reviews. That responsiveness also shows Google that you're interacting and that they assign quality scores to those types of interactions as well. And this is all determining who's showing up within those local service ad placements, okay? Business hours are a major factor too. If you close at 3 p.m. on a Friday, Google is going to recognize that. They're going to limit the number of ads they're showing after hours there. You also have the ability to restrict the times your ads show, which we do, so that it makes sense that when patients are calling in, that somebody's able to answer those calls and speak with patients. And, also really reputation, whether or not you've received a serious complaint. There's tracking in the Google dashboard that we'll show you in just a couple of minutes that tracks those types of interactions as well. So as we move on to really getting into some of the meat and potatoes, how to win with Google local service ads, I want to just talk a little bit about the ability to, number one, appear top, to rank on top of the search results. And then how do you do that? How do you get those coveted top positions with high quality leads and only paying for leads that are verified and that are high quality? Well, number one, it comes down to dialing in your service area, your budget, your profile. We're going to take a look at that. Marking appointments as booked. So when leads come through, there's the dashboard that will show you where you need to provide the feedback, marking appointments as booked, making sure you have a team member who's really on top of that, because otherwise, if you're not paying attention to the system, Google will essentially show those ads to somebody else. Dealing with disputes, like we mentioned, if there's an unhappy patient, making sure that you're dealing with it appropriately. Driving verified reviews that we're going to talk more about in just a minute. And also target a high booking percentage as well, 80, 85% plus. Google obviously wants to see these quality signals that when leads are coming through, that patients are getting scheduled. If leads come through and patients aren't getting scheduled, that's a signal for Google that, hey, maybe we got to figure something out here and show these ads to somebody else. So first step in the process to get started with winning with the local service ads is to really dial in your profile. And so when you log in and when you create your profile, there's a number of different options that you have. You're going to need to create a profile with a good description. And with the description, make sure that it's really built with the patient in mind. Almost think of it as a sales letter where you want to appeal to your ideal patient avatar. There's a number of different components where you set budgets, you set requirements, and you also go ahead and set the service area. This is where, depending on if you're based in Tampa, for example, and there are some plastic surgeons here that they're attracting patients from Sarasota, which would be 45 minutes south. So making sure that you can serve the patients within the geography that you're targeting, and also strategically thinking about it from the perspective of, if I am going to target these local service ads 20, 30, 50 miles away, are those patients going to travel to my practice? Is that something that makes sense? You just want to think about that from a strategic standpoint when you're setting up your service area. On the service types, so within the plastic surgery niche, there's multiple different services that you have the opportunity to be listed for. And so you need to be strategic and accurate with listing the services that you do provide and not listing the ones you don't, because again, that will impact quality score and just cause dissonance. You want to make sure that there is congruency with what the patients are seeing, how they're finding your practice, and the experience they're having with those local service ads. So the example here, there's a drop down that you'll see with the different services from tummy tuck down towards facelift, liposuction, neck lift. So there's the opportunity to really dial in from a service standpoint what type of patients you're looking to attract more of. And also strategically, when it comes to budget, we look at that and we can weight certain campaigns based off those types of patients that you're looking for. So dialing in the profile, just to tie it together a little bit, make sure that you're setting your budget, opening it up if you have capacity, as far as, if you're seeing that you do have the capacity to go beyond $500, $1,000 a week, then up that budget, because if the demand is there, you want to make sure that you're capitalizing on it. Okay. The updating the schedule as well. Make sure you're updating the ad schedule when it comes to if you're scheduling too far out, or if you're booked over the next couple of weeks. Adjust the ad spend so that you're able to generate leads appropriately and not speak to patients that want to be seen quickly. You need to just think about that and consider that when it comes to the ad spend and the number of leads that you'll be generating, because at the essence of this, we want to convert as many of those leads, of those patients that are reaching out. We want to convert as many of those as possible. Okay. Setting up the business bio in terms of your patients' needs. As I mentioned, really thinking about it in terms of what's important to them. What would they need to read or to see when it comes to selecting my practice, selecting me as their provider, as their doctor, when it comes to taking care of the treatments and the services that they're looking for. Selecting the service types, we just spoke about that. And also the service areas, make sure that you're carving out the appropriate geography and making sure that the business hours are updated as well. That, if you're able to speak to patients from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m., then make sure that's listed within the Google local service ads, and also strategically thinking about it from the hours that you're targeting patients and running the ads. If you're running ads at 7 p.m. on a Friday night, but there's no one there to answer those calls from those really hot leads that are coming through, that's going to lead to a wasted budget and potentially, a patient that's going somewhere else. You want to maximize the spend that you have within the appropriate hours. Also, really importantly, is adding photographs. And we want to make sure that we're adding the personality of the practice. The Google local service ads, it allows for 2 images at this time. So they just want to make sure they're appropriate, professional, and they really demonstrate you in your best light. Just tying it back to the Google business profile as well. We want to make sure that on that Google business profile that we're using good images. I did an audit for a practice earlier and there was no image of the provider. The practice location itself didn't look good. So we just want to make sure that all these touch points that we have with prospective patients, that we're delivering really good impressions, that we're showing up well, and photographs really add a lot of weight to the whole process here also. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of marking appointments as booked. And so inside of the dashboard of the Google local service ad dashboard, there's the leads are stored, that's all logged. It's really important to be responsive in the system and to mark leads as booked once they're scheduled. Because again, Google, the algorithm is looking for the response here. They know that they've generated a lead from a patient. Mary Smith has called through. She's looking for a plastic surgeon in Indianapolis. She's spoken to someone at your practice. She's scheduled her appointment. We need to make sure that once that appointment is scheduled, it's marked as booked. It's showing Google that there's progress here. These people that are looking for services through the ads that Google has placed on its platform, and Google has self-perceived that it's stuck its neck out there because it's verifying the plastic surgeons. We need to make sure that someone on the team is now following through and marking the appointments as booked. The quicker we can do this and the more accurate the updates are within the system, then the better the lead flow will be and the higher that you will get ranked within the Google local service ad environments as well, okay? So important to mark the appointments booked. As we said, Google rates your responsiveness. Mark them as booked, scheduled. Patients and customer details are in there. There's the opportunities to keep notes. So we want to make sure that we're keeping that updated. Include an email address. We can enter that in the system once we speak to the patient, and also archive any non-converted opportunities as well. Google is looking for a quality score to make sure that their tool, their system is being managed effectively. So again, making sure that you have a team member who stays on top of it. Of course, we do this for the practices that we work with as well. When it comes to dealing with disputes, so again, one of the benefits of the Google local service ad is that it's the quality leads. It's the leads that are qualified, that you get charged for, that you get billed for. And if there's any disputes, for example, where I'm not going to verify that lead, that was a solicitor, somebody had called through, there's the opportunity within the system to do that as well, to dispute those leads. And Google is very fair with that. We haven't really seen much kickback. If a lead's being disputed, then Google is basically make sure you don't pay for it. And so it's a pretty fair and equitable situation, but a major benefit when it comes to running the campaigns. The disputes in the system, as you can see in the visual, they're all logged in the system. You don't get charged for disqualified leads or leads that may be outside of your service area, for example. Somebody who's just calling through from another company, you don't get charged for that. Again, if it's not in the service area you provide. What this also talks about, and what this emphasizes, is that we need to really drive verified leads and verified reviews. And so on your Google business profile, you have the opportunity to do that, to generate reviews and to consistently do that. Also inside the Google LSA platform, this is where we want to be able to drive verified reviews. So from leads that have been generated and appointments that have been booked, is requesting reviews from those patients through the system. Really important because, again, it's a quality score that Google is looking at. And it's that feedback mechanism that we spoke about, right? Where Google is looking at that entire interaction from the first search for plastic surgery near me, weight loss near me, dermatology near me, the patient that responds and clicks through, speaks to the practice, and then gets scheduled. They want that mechanism to go even further, that feedback, to find out, cool, you scheduled, it was marked as booked, and then what was the quality of that interaction? What was the quality of the service? And again, Google is going to reward that by showing your ads more and enabling you to generate a lower cost per lead. So it really makes sense to pay attention to those details and use the tools at your disposal within the Google local service ad environment, or make sure that you have a team member who's trained and who's equipped to do that for you. So the importance of driving verified reviews, we spoke about that. Also, just on the overall Google business profile, make sure that there's an element in place, there's a component in place to drive consistent reviews, to get the number of reviews ramped up, because again, that impacts the local service ads. And as everybody here knows as well, just getting reviews on Google, very important. It's increasing your organic search optimization. It's also just increasing the referrals that you get. It's increasing the conversion rate as people really see more and more of that proof that they're accustomed to seeing now as well. The reporting. So there's a good amount of reporting, detailed reporting on the back end of the Google local service ads. And so what we want to do here is make sure that you're paying attention to those details, understanding what the number of leads that you're getting is. Make sure those leads are being, again, verified, so that if you're generating 50 leads in a month and 10 of them are not appropriate, they're just not a good lead, then we need to dispute them so that you're only paying for those 40 leads. And then from that, Google is also going to weight how many appointments are we booking from those 40 quality leads. And further down that line, they're also looking at, okay, from the verified leads that we're generating, how many of those are showing? What is the feedback? What is the review looking like from the patient there as well? Google, of course, is using lots of different algorithms and machine learning. And so just know that they're watching and they're expecting that feedback, and they need that feedback in order to make sure they're delivering the ads to the right users on their platform. Okay. So we're going to talk in just a minute about how to increase the lead flow from local service ads. Welcome to some new faces who have joined. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them into the chat as we get along here. Julian's going to be moderating that. So let's talk about how to increase lead flow from Google local service ads. Okay. We know that new patients, new clients, that is the lifeblood of a business, of our practices. And so we want to take advantage of new opportunities and to ensure that we're covering bases when it comes to attracting patients from the internet. So when it comes to increasing lead flow from Google local service ads specifically, again, opening up the budget so that we can generate as many of those qualified leads as possible is going to be one of the one-on-ones on it. Make sure that we're expanding the service area to an appropriate area that maximizes the true reach of patients that we want to attract to our practice and patients that will travel potentially from where they're living through traffic, potentially past competition. Make sure that we're setting that up appropriately, kind of like don't lie to ourselves when it comes to that, because we'll only hurt ourselves when setting up the ads. Making sure there's an appropriate ad schedule based off business hours. Again, if leads are being generated on a Saturday, but there's no one there to speak to that person, then they're probably going to call somebody else after they went to a voicemail. So we've got to make sure that we're paying attention to those details. When it comes to all of the leads, for example, make sure that we're scheduling them at a maximum rate. When speaking to these patients, getting them scheduled is key. They're not on the phone for no reason. If there's a dispute on the lead, obviously we can mark that, but we want to be maximizing the scheduling rate. And from there, obviously the close rate on these patients that are, really hot leads coming through the Google LSA program. The requesting verified reviews, having that, again, process in place to simply use a dashboard to request those reviews. That's where Google is going to reward you. And that's how you're going to continue to increase your lead flow as Google displays your ads and positions you above the competition as well. So some of the keys to success with Google local service ads are, number one, it's actually being patient and really persistent through the application process. Typically, we're seeing between 1 to 4 weeks as part of that application process. But just having the patience, or if you're working with us, for example, we take care of that for you. There is diligence, there is paperwork that has to be got together. But number one, just make sure that you go the distance and get that application in so that you can get eligible for LSAs. Completing the business profile information accurately is key as well. Google wants to make sure that there's accurate information displayed to prospects and to patients. So just making sure that all the information is correct and making sure that we measure twice and cut once when it comes to all those details. Okay. Now, number three is, the element of having the quality reviews, collecting and maintaining them so that, as you can see in the example here with Pincus Plastic Surgery and Mark Everett, you can notice, first of all, that high rating, there's a high number of reviews. And so that's really key. Google wants that. It wants to show a verified local service ad when somebody has searched for that specific provider to people in the marketplace, and really emphasize that there's an expert, there's good reviews, there's a good reputation, there's a really strong brand, as Google are verifying the practices that it shows to its users. And you can see here as well just what it looks like, that license, that verification. Google provides its badge and displays that license. And so you'll notice that on the Google local service ads as well. Some of the keys when it comes to winning with Google local service ads is on the left, you'll see the Google business profile. So we want to make sure that we're persistent through the process, that we've got the profile set up accurately, we're maintaining reviews, and also ensuring that our Google business profile is highly optimized. So we've done specific webinars on this before, but a real quick crash course is, again, making sure that there's good imagery. We're using the posting feature with inside Google business profile. We've got steady reviews that are coming in. We're maximizing and setting up that profile there efficiently as well, going through the checklist that we've set out for our aesthetic practices. And again, that's basically a microsite in Google. So we want to make sure that for the LSAs that Google is delivering for you, it's got to be a good Google business profile as well for that experience. Okay. So kind of consider some things to look at would be, how is your business? How is your practice showing up? We want to check out that Google business profile, make sure there's reviews, make sure we got those Google business posts that are on the page, that we're using the product section, product or service, so that we're maximizing the real estate and really optimizing the profile to rank and display on Google. We want to make sure that we have images of staff as well, images of yourself, the doctor, or images of staff that we're using on the profile, and high quality images too. Make sure that these are images that look good, they really represent the practice. One interesting nuance with the Google local service ads is that the image that you put on the LSA can't have a phone number in the background because Google wants to track its leads through the phone number. So just know that you can't have a phone number running around in the background because Google needs to have that distraction removed in order to track all the leads that it generates. So some more of the keys when it comes to generating success with Google local service ads. Again, the patience, making sure the application process has gone through, the accurate business profile, maintaining reviews and growing reviews on that Google business profile, and making sure that it's optimized so that you're showing up in the best light to patients. And as I said earlier as well, what's really crucial is that speed to lead, making sure that we've got quick responses as leads are generated through the Google local service ads. This is going to significantly increase your opportunity to connect and speak with more patients and really increase the opportunity to convert them into customers, into clients, and into patients at the practice. So again, just looking back at the hours, we want to make sure that we've got accurate business hours that are listed within Google. And then for after hours, making sure that if we are running ads at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, that we've got the coverage in order to be able to speak with those patients and convert them. Well, we went through most of the content actually a little quicker than usual. It's been kind of a brisk walk through this, but the thing, the crux of it is that these LSAs are there. If anybody wants help, if you'd like our help with setting these up for you or more information, just comment "Let's Talk" in the channel. We're happy to do that. We've also got a link here, which is clinicroar.com/LSA. What will happen when you go to that link? It's actually going to give you the opportunity to apply for an assessment with us. We'll do the eligibility. We'll see what services you're available to qualify for on Google. We'll essentially do all the groundwork for you and just let you know if you qualify or not for the Google LSAs. And for anybody who does come on board working with us for the Google LSA program, we're actually doing a special right now as well. We're going to be running the Google LSAs for free for 30 days. So the first step, as always, is see if you qualify. There's specific segments, obviously plastic surgery for plastic surgeons. We're also looking at there's some weight loss categories, but that's more specifically on the wellness standpoint. There's dermatology, cosmetic dermatology in there as well. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat or to reach out, and we'll be happy to guide you through the process. And if it makes sense, happy to obviously do it for you as well. So I want to definitely open it up to an opportunity. If anybody on the webinar would like to learn more, to figure out how LSAs can work for your business, you can either call the number here, scan the QR code, go to clinicroar.com, schedule. What we typically do is have a discussion. Anybody who's spoken with us before kind of knows how it goes. We like to bring research, understand kind of how you're showing up online, bring some quick wins to the conversation so that you can actually get value from a call with us and understand things that you can do to move your business forward. And so that's